As the sun rises on the 21st birthday of the Swindon Festival of Literature, the townsfolk gather in Lawn Woods to make merry and celebrate the special anniversary. The dawn chorus that begins the Swindon Festival is a far cry from the usual launches, held in stuffy conference rooms with wine and canapes. Our festival begins with a concert of birdsong on a green stage of dewy grass in a natural amphitheatre, and the main event is the Sunrise over Swindon, which is a poem in its own right. Matt Holland of Lower Shore Farm is the founder of the Swindon Festival, and he came up with the idea of bringing together people who have a passion for good reading, exploratory talks and a spirit rooted in the love of the word.
The best stories well told about how we live and what life is all about. Stories and stories make up literature. Okay, I can see some faces I've seen at Dawn Chorus before. Are there any Dawn Chorus virgins? Any people who are here for the first time?
This year's festival has attracted a magical mix of master writers, including broadcaster, chief news and war correspondent Kate Adie.
Festivals are essential for authors, much more now that we have problems in the actual book industry. How you've got your book out, your shiny new book, and really, how do people get to know about it? There are very few programs on television and radio about books themselves. Newspapers are covering books much less. They fired a lot of the literary editors. And so the first sort of point of contact with general public is now not so much the window of just one book chain and a few independents. It's the literary festival.
Nathan Filer has won this year's prestigious Costa Book of the Year award, but only a few years ago he was strutting his stuff as a struggling poet on the Swindon stage.
And I loved it then. It was one of my very favourite literature festivals. I love spending time at Lower Shore Farm with Matt Holland. Characters make stories.
Nathan is living proof of what Matt had in mind when he began the first Festival of Literature. Matt and John chew the cud over the real story of joining the elite band of undergraduates at Oxford University. John dispels some of the myths that spring up from reading such novels as Brideshead.
But I wondered whether going back to a life of books and study might not seem dull by comparison. Besides, I didn't feel I belonged in Oxford. For the first week or so, I skunked round like an intruder, quite prepared to be detained and ejected if spotted.
Matt is a regular runner at Swindon Park Run, based at Lydiard Park, and he firmly believes in the maxim that a lively body breeds an inquiring mind. As part of the festival, Matt pulls on his running shoes to accompany journalist, author and runner Alex Hemmensley on the fun run around the park.
Nietzsche, a long time ago, said, "The best thoughts come when the body is in motion, especially running or walking." It's one of those things that is hard when you're doing it, but there's one beautiful step out of the thousands that you take. That's the one across the finish line.
We're having the fun run because Matt, who organised it, has put a lot of effort into getting people running and moving outside generally on the first day of the festival, and because my book is about running and specifically about the kind of unifying and freeing ability of running to include everyone.
Another festival celebrity is a formidable personality who can give Matt a run for his money in debate and a quick twirl around the dance floor, former MP Anne Widdicombe.
But I know for a rock-solid certainty that the majority of people who go into the House of Commons, there are many other ways that you go into politics, but the majority of people who go into the House of Commons go there because they genuinely have causes they want to fight, changes they want to make, and they do go there out of a sense of service. Nobody would go there, believe me, with the possible exception of Tony Blair, in order to make money. Festivals like the Swindon Literary Festival are immeasurably important to authors. It's a chance not only to sell a book, you can do that in any bookshop, but it's a chance to explain a book, to discuss a book. And it really, a literary festival is like one big conversation.
Some of this year's festival writers are also fighters for the underdog, or in the case of Laurens de Groot, Wales. He tells us why he gave up his job as a detective in the Dutch police to stop the whale hunters.
And I saw the bow of that 700-ton vessel coming over me, and it's all could do was jump on the back of our vessel, hold on to something, and it almost capsized. But we came back, and then a few seconds later, you realise, wow, I'm still here.
My hat is on my head.
What came before the written word?
Then
The storyteller.
they hung, well, they raised that old into the ground and they burnt it to the ground. And they hung that old witch at the crossroads.
You see, all of us have stories that we carry on our backs, and some of them are our own personal memories and stories. And the thing is that we need listeners. And all of these authors and poets that will be here at the festival for 2 weeks, without you, they would just be people with lots of notebooks. I was feeling I didn't fit in because I wasn't allergic to anything.
Lowershaw Farm is known as a hub of cultural arts for all the family. Children's Day proves a big hit with the young ones at the festival.
Shazam! Suddenly he became large and golden and full of light, and he became the sun.
There's a very famous poem by a poet called William Carlos Williams called The Red Wheelbarrow. And it goes, so much depends upon a red wheelbarrow, glazed with rainwater, beside the white chickens. Now those few lines have sent to inspired poets for many decades. And I thought it's about time we moved on in the 21st century from wheelbarrow to something mechanical and motorised. So we have a red tractor.
From a Children's Day at Lowershaw Farm, we return to the Arts Centre in the company of a children's author.
Join me in giving a Swindon Festival of Literature welcome to Jacqueline Wilson.
Basically, I wouldn't try and be a writer unless the thing you want most passionately to do is to write, whether you get published or not. But I think you should read a great deal, partly because it's the most wonderful thing, but it also enriches your imagination, increases your vocabulary, you get to see how other people write their stories.
Matt wanted the festival to be a platform for the writers of tomorrow as well as the big names of today.
Good morning, 10th Swindon Youth Slam Poetry Audience. Hello!
If he tries to stop me, I'll give him a whack.
Young man the throne, there are all these people you cannot see, but all these people you see to believe.
Always late. The mother has to warm up his plate. I'm amazing though, yet you constantly moan. You let my battery drain, which seems to cause you pain.
We admire that you don't stay silent. You get your moans, groans and tears out without getting violent. As the day went on, I regretted what I said. I must have gone out of my head.
Jade will win out any day.
I and meerkats are spying, looking for intruders that night.
Yeah, we are volunteers here in the festival, and today we are ducks in the Youth Slam, so it's very difficult for us.
Music and literature go hand in hand, and this year the festival welcomes the Ant and Dec of the ukulele world, Tom and Gavin. It looks like they're already inspiring some new followers.
Officially invented, and it's called a machete, and it's a little four-string guitar that comes from the Portuguese island of Madeira.
More music chat comes from pop icon of the 1980s, Tracy Thorn. The lead singer in indie pop band Everything But the Girl is in conversation with Ashley Heath from BBC Wiltshire.
How are we going to follow this? I sound like an interviewer from Spinal Tap, so forgive me. The creative process, how did you sort out who did what? who bounced off who in which particular way?
Well, it was pretty obvious straight away that Ben could play the guitar and I couldn't. Although I was, still having a go. We're now some, 3 or 4 years into my guitar-only years, and I haven't really got any better. I've probably got slightly worse, if anything.
Having written our book, how do we go about getting it published?
There's no more exciting thing than to be reading something by somebody who's not published. You literally end up with your fingers tingling.
Matt is not afraid of inviting guests that may disturb or shock us. Sandrine Burgess comes from all the way from Turkey to tell us about historical figures who have fought for the rights of women.
The husband, who loved her very much and missed her a lot, decided to write a short biography in which he was entirely honest about everything that she'd ever done. And that included her extramarital affairs, that included having a child out of wedlock, it included also 2 suicide attempts.
And the Swindon Philosophical Society hosts a Think Slam, which throws up some pretty gritty issues.
Sex. Modern society, especially our British and American societies, have a weird relationship with sex.
If we go back, look at the other measures that we use throughout our lifetime. Health in Greek times was done by the 4 humours.
The staff, plot, deceit, treachery goes on daily.
If democracy is so important that we must send our young people to war to die for it, then why do we give any fool or crook a vote?
We love because we all recognise this gap between what we present to the world and who we are when unobserved.
So we finish where we began, with some merriment of musicians, poets and storytellers in a festival finale at Swindon Town Hall.
A panic. Matchstick legs that might buckle and break as butterflies take flight, fluttering up in my belly, my breaths get heavy.
So he wrapped himself in his cloak and he started walking. But it was a terrible day. A wintry Russian day.
A pair of big fat brown bears boldly bashed the hive to bits. The bees just buzz about them like bumbling stripy twits. They go buzz, buzz, buzz. A duck who makes honey is actually a bee. A duck in the hand just yearns to be free. A duck who works without playing becomes a dull duck.
Years the festival has kept on doing this, bringing talented people to Swindon. It's unbelievable. They emerge from all quarters. It's absolutely amazing.
Swindon Literary Festival has been a tremendous experience.
I fell in love with the festival. I think it's a wonderful festival.
I'm very pleased to be invited to the 21st anniversary.
Well, happy birthday, 21st. Finally grown up.